Okay, review for the quiz. That is tomorrow. You will either get to use your green sheet or one just like it, okay? I was gonna make like a yellow one that was just for quizzes, but I haven't done that yet. So we'll see if I get it done by tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll have to run around and check that you didn't write extra stuff on there. All right, the first question on the review is it completing the square, right? Is this what you have? Okay. I'm just going to go through this because I think we're pretty good at this, yes? Going to separate the x's and the y's, move the 15 to the other side, add a couple blanks. If we complete the square just for the x here, we'll have x minus half of 8 is 4. Squared is 16. If I go over here and do the y, so there's a plus supposed to be in there. Y plus half of this will be a 2. Squared is also a 4. Okay, so over here I end up with 5. How'd I do? Anybody already do this? It's a sketch a graph would be kind of icky, right? Because the radius is what? Anybody? What's the radius? Square root of 5, which is like 2 point something, right? So we'd go over to 4, negative 2, and go a little over 2, so we'd have an egg shaped like that. Or a football or whatever. I think up there under the green little strip, maybe? Anybody else? Yes? No? Maybe? Is it in the bin underneath? Okay, then maybe the sub left my extra copies over here somewhere. Pause. All right, if you just looked up at the notes, I realize it's really hard to read, so let me fix this once again. This was a y squared. There was a plus blank. We added the 16 here because of squaring that, okay? So it was back here was just plain y squared. Does that look better, guys? Less confusing? All right. Number 2, we need the area formula. You have to know both area and circumference, guys. Anybody know area of a circle? Okay. Remember I told you in the video, I think, that the area of a circle and the circumference, or yes, area and circumference both have a 2 and a pi and an r, right? The 2 is multiplied for circumference, and the 2 is squared for area because area is square units. That makes sense? You put the 2 up there as a squared, so there's a 2 and a pi and an r and a 2 and a pi and an r. Does that make sense now? Okay. So for this question, this is just h and k, and if area is pi r squared, we divide the pi off and we have r squared is, well, r is 6, yes. But in the end, we really only want r squared anyway, right? So x minus 6, quantity squared, plus y minus 8, quantity squared equals 36. Are we good? All right, over here, this is 2 pi r because it's circumference. This is h and k. So if we divide the pi out, we have 2r equals 10. So r is 5. So r squared will be 25. So we have x minus 8 squared plus y plus 11 squared equals 25. Everybody good? And you'll have those memorized for tomorrow's quiz, yes? Okay. Can you remember it now? 2 and a pi and an r. Okay. And the 2 goes up here for squared if it's area. Otherwise, the 2 is out in front. All right. parabolas. This worksheet switches like the order from your green sheets, but I think you guys are okay with left side of the equation and right side of the equation can be switched, right? That's not a stretch. So this one matches up with 4px minus h equals y minus k quantity squared, right? So what can you tell me? H is 2. What else? K is 1. 4p, well, 4p would be whatever out in front here, which is not that 4, because that's the problem number. There'd be a 1 out there, right? 4p equals 1. So p is 1/4. All right. Then we need all this other garbage. Which way is it opening? The y is squared, so it's opening left or right. Okay, and it's positive down here, the p, so it's opening right. So if we were to sketch it, and you will have graph paper for a question like this on the quiz, but you'd go over to where's the vertex, guys? 2, 1, okay. And if p is 1/4, then we got to find all this other garbage. It's going to open to the right, and we'll have to figure out how wide. But where's the axis of symmetry? Y equals 1. Okay. The directrix is over here somewhere, and the focus is inside the parabola. All right. Let's do those ugly ones. If p is 1/4, what is that? What is p doing? Do you remember what the idea is? It's how far over to the focus and how far back to the directrix, right? So 1/4 of a unit inside here would be the focus, which would be at 2 1/4. If you look at the sheet, it says take your h and add your p, so that would be 2 1/4. If you wrote it as a mixed number or a decimal, that's fine. Thanks, guys. If you need a copy, it's here. I would really prefer an improper fraction. That's the way it is on my key, but I can figure it out if you... But it needs to be exact, okay? Guys, everybody hearing me? If it comes out 1/16 and that's like a Nikki repeating decimal, that's not okay. You need to make it exact. Whether it's you write 1/16 or you write, 87/16 or whatever it is. All right, and it is up 1. The directrix that's inside here. The directrix is running back over here, 1/4 of a unit back. So that would be an x equals line at what? It says h minus, so that would be 1 3/4 or 7/4. Did a bunch of you already have that? You're ahead of me. Okay. Now the icky part, remember, was finding another ordered pair so we could decide how fat this thing was. If I want to put in a y, because that's the squared quantity, what is a y that is 1 or 2 units away from k equals 1? We could go with 0. If I go out 2 units, could I do 3? Okay. If I put in a y equals 3, all right, I would have x minus 2 equals 3 minus 1 quantity squared. Oh, this is nice because there's no 4p even out there. What do we get over here? 3 minus 1 is 2, squared is 4. Add this 2 over to that side. We get 6. Did I do that right? So I got 6, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Was up 1, 2, 3. So it would also be the value at -1 because that would be down 2. So this is actually a fairly slim parabola compared to some we see, right? Has some really wide ones on some of the homework. Like might be the case for this next one. I don't know. All right. I'm going to go a little quicker this time. Is everybody all right? Okay, this is 4p y minus k equals x minus h quantity squared. Anybody know which way this one opens? The x is squared, so that tells me it opens either up or down. And there's a negative value over here for the p with the p, so it's going to open down. Okay, what can you tell me? H is -3, k is -6, so the vertex is -3, -6, and 4p is equal to just -4, right? So this one is, p is -1, that's about as easy as we can get. All right, so, oh, yeah, my graph is already bad. If I move it up here, we'd have -3, -6 is down here somewhere. It's opening down, so 1 unit above and 1 unit below are the focus and the directrix. Anybody have either one of those yet? What's the formula for the focus? H comma K plus P. H comma K plus P is -3, -7. Does that make sense from where my picture went? Okay. The directrix is at y equals K minus P. Should be -7 minus -1, which will become what, guys? -6, yeah, so that's this. My picture is so not to scale. Did I do something wrong? Yeah. Yeah, because I used the wrong, this should be -6 plus +1, right? Yeah, I used the focus instead of the K from up here. Thanks. -6 minus -1, which is -6 plus 1, which is -5. There we go. Thanks for catching that, so the video's not wrong. All right. What's a couple units away here? Could we just put in 0? X equals 0 would cross the y-axis, right? Let's try 0 here. 0 plus 3 is 3 squared is, so I have -4 equals y plus, oh, I'm sorry, -4 parentheses y plus 6 equals 9. Okay, that's kind of disgusting. -9 fourths plus 6. Somebody give me a decimal, or -6. Yeah. -9 divided by 4 minus 6. -8.25. So it crosses down here. This was -6, so a little bit further, -8. It crosses down here at 0, -8.25. And this ordered pair was -3, -6. So the focus is really closer. Yeah, my picture's just all not to scale. Are we good? You want me to find one more ordered pair just so we can practice it? Huh? No? Okay. Identify the vertex, focus, and directrix of this one. What do we have to do here? complete the square, and there's a 2 in front of the x. Anybody remember how this goes? Yes, but the 2 doesn't come out of the 5, so I'm going to go ahead and move the 5 over the other side first. Is that okay with everybody? Y minus 5 plus blank equals. Now take the 2 out, and what do I have? X squared plus 4x plus blank. Did we not practice this enough yet? I don't know. Completing the square is the hardest for parabolas for most students. Even when we get into ellipses and hyperbolas, they have the most trouble with parabolas. Okay. So over here, I'm going to have x plus half of this is 2 squared. Back up here is a 4. But what did I really add to this side? 8. So over here, I have y plus 3. And I still have the 2 out in front. Because of the 2 out front. Yep, you good? Good question, though. Now, these should be equivalent. Okay. X plus 2 is equal to this. The 2 is still out front. All right. This is not the form your book uses, though, right? Or your sheet uses? What's wrong? Yeah, we got to move that 2 over here. The 4p goes over here with the non-squared side. So if we divide the 2 over here, what's it going to look like? Guys, when I move it over to this side, it's what? 1/2. All right. So now we have 4p equal or times y minus k equals x minus h quantity squared, which is backwards from the order it's on your sheet. Sorry. Everybody good? This one opens. Anybody? Up, down. Okay. And this is positive, so it opens up. Where's the vertex? H is -2, k is -3, so -2, -3. Please tell me if I do something wrong here. Okay. If 4p is a half, what's p? Got to take 1/4 of both sides, yes? So that we get p equals what? Guys, you're scaring me. P equals an 8? Yes? Okay. So then it says that the focus is at h comma k plus p, which would be -2 comma -3 plus 1/8, which is -2 7/8, or -16 7 -23/8. Is that right? Okay. And the directrix is at y equals k minus p, which would be y equals, I lost my train of thought here, -3 minus 1/8, which would be y equals -3 and 1/8, or 24/8, 25/8, -25/8. Somebody checking me? Yes? Focus, directrix, and vertex was over here. Okay. Do you want me to graph this one just so we're clear on finding one more point? Okay. So here was the vertex, the -2, -3. It's opening down. Yes. Up. Up, right? So -2 and a little bit less is the focus. -2 and a little bit more is the directrix. Okay, what's 2 units away from -2? 0, right? Or -4. Can we just, you want to do 0? Is that okay? We're looking here. Let me get a different color. We're looking at this equation right here. Okay, and we're going to put in an x value. If we put in a 0, well, okay, this one would have been better because that's the one that's on your sheet. But so we're going to put in a 0. 1/2 of y plus 3 equals 0 plus 2 squared. Okay, this becomes a 4 because 2 squared. What do we do to get rid of that 1/2? You can distribute it, but what if you don't want to? Can you just multiply it over here? Multiply both sides by 2 and you get 8. Y equals 5. If you write that as an ordered pair, we put in a 0, right? To get out of 5. So it crosses up here at 5. Again, fairly narrow, yes? Compared to some of them. Everybody okay? All right. So if this is the vertex, this is H, this is K, this is still K, so that tells me if K stayed the same on the focus, it is opening what? Left or right? Everybody okay? So if that's true, this is H plus P. We're almost done already. Yes? All we have to do is find P and we're done. Okay? -81 over 16 is equal to H plus P. Well, what's H? -5 plus P. So if we add 5 to both sides, we get P equals -1/16. Yep. All right. All we have to do, now that we know it opens sideways, we have this form on our sheet that I'll copy down here for you real quick. So put the numbers in. Who's got me? Y minus 3 quantity squared equals, 4P. So that will be -1/4. You write that out. So 4P equals -1/16 times 4, which is -1/4. Times x minus h, which would be +5. All right. This is the same kind of thing. We still have h and k. When the directrix is a y equals, it says y equals what? K minus P. So it opens up or down. Okay. I'm going to write -29/4 equals -4 minus P. Everybody following what I did? Some of you want to do it in your head. The distance, the difference between is P. So how far is -4 from -29/4? That would be 28/4. So we have -1/4. P equals +1/4. Did anybody else get that? Let me think about that. If the vertex is over 9 and down 4 and the directrix is down 7 1/4? Oh, when I added 4, I needed to add. Somebody help my math. Okay, -29/4 plus 4 is 16/4, which is -13. Is that right? fourths. So this is 13 fourths. Wow. That's a long distance, isn't it, for p? Usually p is really tiny. All right. So let's write the equation and then we'll go back and talk about the graph. The y, it's opening up and down. So, okay, we can, if we do it just like on the sheet, it'll be x, right? X minus what? H squared equals 4p. What's 4p going to be? 13 fourths times 4, which is 13. Yikes. Y minus k, which is negative 4, so plus 4. This one, the clue was that the directrix was y equals. So if you look on the sheet, when the directrix is y equals, it's that one. On this one, the focus kept the k the same as the vertex. So the one that has the same k on focus and directrix is the one that's open and sideways. That makes sense now? Just got to follow the clues. All right. How would we find another ordered pair for this one? If we went over 9, down 4, you don't have to. I'm just trying to help you with this idea. What's 2 units away from over 9? Over 7, maybe? So if I put in a 7 minus 9 squared equals 13, y plus 4, this would be negative 2 squared is 4, 4 over 13, subtract 4. That's 3 and something, right? 9/13 or something, negative 3 and 9/13. So at, what did we put in? I already forgot. 7. If we went over 7 instead of 9, so that would be here, we would be down 3 and something instead of 4. It's very flat. All right, so the ordered pair we found, can someone do that math for me? 4 divided by 13 minus 4, negative 3.7. That was y when x was 7. Okay, so there's another point. All right, moving on. I feel like I'm spending way too much time on this. I am. I'm going to run out of time. How do you find an equation of a circle given the endpoints of the diameter? You can use distance and midpoint. Holy smokes. Some of you never did get a 5 on that section at the beginning of the year, right? Distance and midpoint. How do you find midpoint? Add the x's divided by 2, add the y's divided by 2. 10, negative 14, is that right? All right, now for me, I would rather find the distance from one of these to here, and that'll give me the radius. The reason is if it's ugly and I find the diameter, I have to divide it by 2. And if the diameter is square root of 71, then I have a mess, right? If I just find the radius, I only want radius squared in my formula. So I'm going to use one of the endpoints and my center. That's what this is. All right. Well, the formula is the radius would be the square root of 8 minus 10 quantity squared plus negative 12 minus negative 14 quantity squared. Half power never uses that. I do in my head, how far is 8 from 10? How far is negative 12 from negative 14? Okay, so 2 squared plus 2 squared is 8. So the radius is square root of 8. Did I do that right? Did someone else get that? So what do I really want in my formula? X minus 10, y minus negative 14 or plus 14 equals r squared, right? Goes in the formula. All right. I know on the video and on the homework, you had to do some horrible things when they gave you a passes through something, right? Do you remember those horrible things? This is much easier than what you had to do on the homework because I gave you the vertex, not the focus. So start out this equation for me. If I know it opens up or down, and it's a parabola, I have x minus h squared equals 4p y minus k. Everybody with me where I got that? Okay, what do I already know? H and k. So I have x plus 9 squared equals 4p y minus k, which would be plus 7. Okay, guess what I get to do? So much easier than the homework. What are those? And an x and a y. So if I put in negative 10, y, oops, I'm supposed to put the y in there. The y is negative 5. Okay, do I really need p? I guess I'll find p just because some of you will get confused otherwise, but I really only need to know what 4p is, right? All right, over here I get negative 1 squared is positive 1, yes? 4 times p times 2, which is 8p. So p is 1/8. But what do I really need to put back in the equation anyway? 4 times 1/8, which is 4/8, or so my answer, instead of 4p right here, we'll have a 1/2. Okay, that was not a good plan. Let's just rewrite it. Let's rewrite it with an eraser. That'll work well. That easier than the ones you had on your homework? Do you remember watching the video and go, what in the world's she doing? Yeah, I didn't put one on. Okay. Help me finish this triangle really fast because we got all the review stuff to go over still. This is 5, this is 12, and it doesn't need to be negative, right? Because we're going to the right. Okay, on this one, the sign is 4/5 and the cosine is negative 3/5. On this one over here, the sine is 5/13 and the cosine is, okay. The biggest mistake everybody made is they wanted to write down sine A plus B. They wrote down sine of A. No, 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 no. A is this angle, guys. The sine of A is 4/5, okay? So when you look on your sheet and it says sine A cosine B plus cosine A sine B, everybody know where I'm getting this? The sine of A is just 4/5. It's not the sine of 4/5. The cosine of B is 12/13 plus the cosine of A is negative 3/5, and the sine of B is 5/13. This is 48 over 65 plus negative 15 over 65, which is 33 over 65. Okay, can I move on? Get to the juicier stuff? Okay. What quadrant? Quadrant 1, cosine makes this one over here 5. What's the trade for sine 2 theta? Supposed to have that one memorized. 2 times the sine times the cosine. What values am I plucking in there? The sine is 5/13 and the cosine is 12/13. 2 over 1 is 120 over 169. This one is quadrant 4, so I got to watch my sign closely. If this is 2 and this is 3, 9 minus 4 square root of 5, and it's negative. Which one do you want to use? You know what, guys? I would use, on this one, there's 3 choices. I would honestly use 2 cosine squared minus 1. You know why? Cosine was already given. Okay? 2 times 2/3 squared minus 1. This is 4/9, which is, yeah, you get to use both. I got negative 1/9. Did someone else get that? Okay. Should be the same if you use any of those 3 formulas, by the way. All right, equation solving. I'm really worried that some of you have no idea how to do this still. If I add 3 cosine squared over here, what will I get? Because I got to set it equal to 0 before I can factor. Always, always, always. 4 cosine squareds minus 4 cosines plus 1 equals 0. Now, it's a trinomial, so it has to factor with 2 parentheses. I can't take something out. It says 4u squared minus 4u plus 1 if you can't factor it with the cosines in there. How does that factor? Two cosine minus 1 and 2 cosine minus 1, which means the cosine has to equal 1/2. And the directions say between 0 and 2 pi. So I flip my sheet over, or I found my unit circle. Wouldn't guess you don't flip anything over. Where's the cosine positive 1/2? Right? All right, this is a hot mess. If I make this equal to 0, it will say 3 cosecant squared theta plus 2 square roots of 3 cosecant theta. 2 terms or 3 over here? All of this is multiplied together and all of this is multiplied together. There's only 2 terms, so what can I do? I know it's freaking you out that it says cosecant, but you're just going to take out a cosecant, right? If I take out a cosecant of theta, what will be left? Don't tell me 2 cosecant squareds. Mr. Bruzo's class may have told me that when I was helping them review this question. When you take out a cosecant, you divided it out, so I'll have 3 cosecant, yes? Okay, guys, it says 3u squared plus 2 square roots of 3u, right? If you take a u out, you still have a 3u plus 2 square roots of 3. Okay, cosecant equals 0, or 0 equals 3 cosecant of theta, I can't write, plus 2 square roots of 3. Okay. What's cosecant? 1 over the sine. Okay. For the cosecant to be 0, 1 over sine would be 0, would be undefined. Is the sine ever undefined? The sine is the y value. Is the y value? No. So this can't happen. Think about the cosecant graph. It looks like this, doesn't it? Bunch of those. Does it ever equal 0? No. If you move all this around, you get negative 2 square roots of 3 over 3 equals cosecant. If you do a little square root of 3 over 3 business, what did I just do? Oh, I know what I didn't do. That means the sign, right? It flips over. And this is equal to this, so you get the sign is negative square root of 3 over 2. This is a U substitution problem over here, guys. You get 4x equals, the cosine is negative 1/2. See you all tomorrow. Then you got to take a fourth of everything. A fourth of this will be pi over 6, right? Did I do that right? 2 pi over 12 would be pi over 6, plus or minus pi over 2. And a fourth of that will be pi over 3. And I never finished this one. Sine is negative square root of 3 over 2 at 4 pi over 3 and 5 pi over 3. All right, be ready for the quiz tomorrow. Ooh.